Southwestern Family of Companies welcomes you to the Action Catalyst. Each week, our diversely and amazingly accomplished guests share their insights and inspirations to help us ignite our own. So let's invest attention together to breathe, to reflect and refocus, and decisively defeat that voice we call Mr. Mediocrity. Then let's enjoy moving forward to make a positive difference in our world. Privileged to be your host, this is Dan Moore.
Welcome to the Action Catalyst podcast. This is Dustin Hillis, CEO of Southwestern Family of Companies. Today we have Chris Capen with us. Chris is the president of Southwestern Publishing House. And Chris, we are so excited to have you here on the Action Catalyst podcast.
Thank you, Dustin. Such a pleasure to be here with you today.
Well, Chris, we work together all the time. I get to, I'm a client of yours technically as an author. Redefining Possible is an upcoming book. So not only do we get to be business partners and helping build Southwestern Publishing House together, but also get to experience working with you on the user experience side too. And I got to tell you, you and your team, Chris, are world-class. And just, it's such a pleasure working with you.
Thanks so much, Dustin. Well, as you know, it's a team effort, and we're blessed to have a phenomenal team of experts here. So, great group.
Oh, that's great. Well, tell us a little bit about your journey. And you had a bit of a really interesting background in publishing. And we found you through the industry of publishing to become part of Southwestern Family of Companies. I'd love to hear that story of how did you find Southwestern Family of Companies?
Well, Dustin, it was an interesting trek. I have been in the world of publishing for 30 years, and for those who may be listening and have found their own journey to be unique, I would say I'm in that same camp. I started off in the world of sports marketing and corporate marketing and just happened to work on a book publishing project in the midst of that career path, and started my own company when I was 24 years old. And that led me into the world of publishing, where I had a publishing company for about 15 years. We specialized in doing books for large sports organizations, starting with the America's Cup and leading with the International Olympic Committee, Boston Celtics, NASCAR, PGA Tour. And we had a wonderful run of custom publishing. And in the middle of that, we built a company, was doing about $10 million in revenues a year. And in the middle of that, we were faced with the huge change that took place after 9/11. And that brought a drastic change to our business model in the publishing world that we serve. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I had a couple of partners in the business who were looking to make a change. And at that same time, I had a call out of the blue from a guy by the name of David Kempf, who was working for a company called Southwestern in Nashville, Tennessee. And being out here in San Diego, I thought something must be amiss to hear a company by the name of Southwestern based out of Nashville. So my first contact with Southwestern came in 2007 with that phone call and with a request to sit down together and talk about this family of companies that was founded in 1855 and where the dots were connected as to why the Southwestern name was a part of this family. And so my journey from my own publishing...
Which is, for the listeners who don't know, Nashville, Tennessee used to be the Southwest of the United States of America in 1855. So...
Exactly. So for those of us out here in the Southwest, while it was a surprise, it made great sense, and it was a terrific story, and continues to be to this day. every time I share that. But my journey was different. I compared to some of the other business leaders in our family of companies. I did not come up in leadership of the organization after selling books door to door, but I was in the business of selling books before coming into Southwestern.
You're a bookman one way or another.
Amen. Definitely found a passion for bringing books into the mix of what brands.
I think you've sold more books than all of us, Chris. So
we have about this point, I think last I told it was a little over 50 million copies of
I don't think I ever came close to 50 million copies.
Well, had a lot of people helping to move those books. But the thing that was a wonderful journey coming into Southwestern was I had spent 20 plus years as an entrepreneur with about 5 different companies that I started and sold. And the thing that attracted me to the Southwestern family was the discipline of running an organization with an entrepreneurial mindset and an extremely experienced back office and training and leadership to put behind it. So as an entrepreneur, you're always building teams to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward and strengths together. And Southwestern had all of that. And as I joined the team and grew within the organization, it was just clear that was clearly one of the biggest benefits to being a part of this family.
Man, that is such a great story, Chris. And thank God that you came here, because once you joined Southwestern Publishing House, you have made a massive difference. And so when you came in, what was your role and how did you end up becoming the president of Southwestern Publishing House?
Right. Well, first of all, I was able to partner with some of the wonderful leaders at that time. Henry Bedford, who played a part in my coming on board, was so generous with his time and engagement with me early on. My role in joining Southwestern Publishing was really to begin to diversify what we were doing in the world of publishing. At the time, this was in 2008, publishing consisted of primarily one division, one area focused on serving community organizations who wanted to publish cookbooks. We were known at that time as Favorite Recipes Press. And that business goes back to the early 60s and its association with Southwestern. So my charge originally was to work to diversify that business so we weren't dependent on just one market. Which was
cookbooks.
Which was cookbooks, yes.
Right.
So we were also in the year 2008 and 2009. And we were
What a great time to get into a new business.
Yes. An exciting time to reinvent. And
good time to redefine possible.
Redefine possible. That was it. So our challenge at that time was corporate budgets were frozen. There were no corporate dollars available to invest in book projects. And so in 2008, we decided to take the course of finding where are there going to be the opportunities to invest in book projects. And so we followed the dollar and we said, where are people spending money? And the messaging at that time was everyone was staying home and they were spending money with cultural attractions, zoos, aquariums, museums, things in their backyard. So those organizations were doing very well. And we noticed that they also had quite a need for publishing, that they needed to produce guidebooks that would be educational and conveying the message and mission of the organization and engaging with the guests that were coming through. So within a few months, we developed a business model with Henry Bedford and Dave Kempf and Tim Underwood, our CFO at that time, where we could go and approach these organizations and invest with them. In 2008 and 2009, we created this new business model and were immediately able to sign up new clients in this market where we knew that there was engagement. And that became the start of one of our new additions to Southwestern Publishing, which was Beckon Books.
Wow. So Chris, you have had quite a prolific career in the publishing industry. Tell us, what has been the biggest business challenge that you've had, and how did you overcome it?
Sure. Well, as I mentioned, you certainly learn a lot through some of the difficult times. And I have, and our publishing team has been through some of those. One of the most difficult pivots that I had to go through in my experience with publishing was following 9/11 in the years 2002 and 2003, where we had a staff of 40 people. We had revenues of about $10 million a year. And coming out of 9/11, the publishing world was going through a lot of change, and our business model was serving that. We had two very important pieces to our business model. One was serving the corporate market, and one was serving other publishers, developing books for other New York publishers. And during that time in 2002 and 2003, both of those markets went away at the same time. And we had to figure out how to reinvent the business while our business was falling apart. And during that time, we had to start by laying off half of our staff and work to help them find other jobs. And we had to figure out what our business model needed to be to survive and regrow. And what we realized during that time was that we did not have the right business model. We had a business model that had a large staff, very few freelancers that could come into the business and service and leave depending on the amount of work that we had. And as a result of those changes, we lost a significant amount of money during that time. As fast as we moved, the market could not rebuild fast enough. And our solution in that process to reposition the company was that we had to take the company into bankruptcy. And that is not a fun process to go through. No. But I have to say that we are thankful to be in a country where we have the processes in place where we can reinvent what a business model is. And as a result of that, we were able to reposition our business, bring in new investors into the company, and be set for future growth. So it can be challenge. It can be a big challenge to go through big changes, but we learned very quickly that sitting and waiting for change to come to you is not the way to do it. That you must take ownership of these situations and must move forward with the information that you have at the moment and the best team that you have together to make it happen. and the solutions will come through careful thought and focus and the right team working on it.
Mm. Well, and that's part of the advantage, I'm sure, that you're very thankful for, of being part of the Southwestern family of companies, where when circumstances change and the prevailing winds blow, that you have a team to support you and the team through trouble markets and times, and that every one of our 25 globally diverse businesses at a different point in their company history has leaned on the support of the other family member companies. And so I'm sure, versus flying solo like you were back then with the story you just told, I'm sure you're glad to be part of the family of companies right now.
Yes, it's been amazing to see over the 13 years that I've been a part of the family how what you describe actually plays out. Companies go through periods of time where they must reinvent themselves. They must redefine what their model is, redefine what's possible in their growth. And that takes time and money. And so I can certainly say, as an entrepreneur within the Southwestern families, and having been an entrepreneur outside of the Southwestern families, having those resources is absolutely essential. And Southwestern provides the best of both worlds in being able to provide an entrepreneurial environment for those growing companies, and the support that a large corporate base would offer to go through those times, not only successfully, but with coming out with tremendous growth after they're reorganized. And that's very unusual.
Well, fast forward now. So tell us about Southwestern. So we went from Favorite Recipe Press to Southwestern Publishing Group to now Southwestern Publishing House. So, which is the original name that Southwestern had in 1855, where we were a Bible publishing company.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about Southwestern Publishing House and what you do and what the team does now.
Sure. So since we began to expand in 2007, we added to Favorite Recipes Press Beacon Books, which specializes in cultural attractions. Then we added a division called Greenwich Publishing that we acquired. Greenwich Publishing focuses on corporate history books. We then acquired another business called Historic Hospitality Books, focuses on resorts, historic hotels, and entertaining. And then we added a children's division, Blue Sneaker Press, that came about as a result of our cultural attractions wanting to publish in children's books. And we also added another cookbook publishing division that we acquired called Quail Ridge Press. So now we have actually 7 different divisions within our publishing house. We are just starting, as you know, this fall, we're launching Southwestern Books, which will be focused on business, leadership, self-help. It's going to be a terrific new addition to the mix of our family of publishing imprints. And so we have a team that manages publishing in really 8 different markets through these various divisions that have their own specialty of the types of books that they publish. We also now sell books into the trade. So we offer our books on Amazon. We put them on Barnes & Noble. We sell them to independent bookstores. And as of 2 months ago, we now have our own online store where we have Southwestern Publishing Marketplace, where we sell all of our books directly to our customers as well.
Yeah, tell us more about that, because you had to pivot, and COVID-19 happened, the world changed. Bookstores were already struggling, and now people aren't even going to them at all. So
yeah, absolutely.
you really had to think and innovate and move quickly. So tell us about Southwestern Marketplace and how you got the team to innovate and what that's all about.
Sure. Well, for us, the pandemic crisis really struck quickly. Our largest customer that runs about 100 retail stores in the world of cultural attractions went from doing 25 million in revenues to zero within 10 days. And that was a big market for us. And it will come back, and it will be going forward. But immediately we had those retailers close, and those were retailers where we were selling books. At the same time, we had one of our largest customers, Amazon. We all know Amazon. We realize that that's a very important part of any publishing business model these days. And Amazon actually stopped ordering books from publishers, deeming them a non-essential business so that they could focus their distribution capabilities on moving other equipment through their system. So there was a period of 6 weeks where Amazon was not ordering books from us or from any publishers. So we realized very quickly that we needed to have a new type of engagement with customers, readers directly. Now, our business model depends on retail partners, stores in cultural attractions, or companies that are using our books to engage with their audience. But when retailers shut down, we realized we did not have direct access to consumers who would be buying those books. So we quickly organized our team under the leadership of Kristen Connolly and our IT folks, and we built an online store that goes along with our online catalog to be able to sell books directly to consumers who wanted to buy them directly.
Wow. Well, that's a huge undertaking to do very quickly, and it's like launching a new business almost, where you now have the availability to go direct to the consumer. And I think that's going to help all the clients that you help make such a great impact in their life, and being able to give channels to people like Harvard. I loved going to Harvard with you, where you and the team published the Harvard Business School problem solving book. And it's one of the most first class, well designed books that Harvard Business School alumni get a copy of. And it's all about the problems they're solving in the world. And getting to tour the Baker Library there at Harvard with you was just a highlight of the year for me, the previous year. And just thinking through, man, that's pretty cool that people are going to have the ability to utilize the marketplace and all kinds of different clients that you are serving. So,
Dustin, one of the greatest rewards I think that we have in publishing, and I'm sure that our other business leaders would share this across our family of companies, is we're so honored to work with so many amazing brands, companies, for-profit, nonprofit organizations, and individuals who are changing our world, and to be able to partner with them wherever they may be in the world is just one of the greatest rewards and honors of my career. And I think I would speak for many others in our family to say they would share the privilege of that.
That's so awesome, Chris. Well, you are a big influence on so many people in your company, around you, in your life. Tell us about who influenced you, and who have been some of the biggest mentors that have helped you along the way.
Yes. Well, where it all takes a process of growth. And some of that is exciting, and some of that can be very painful. And as many others report, I definitely share in that belief that you learn more through hard times than you do through good times. But I was blessed very early on to have a very close relationship with my father and my parents, both my parents. My father grew up in Queens, New York. His father walked out when he was 10 years old, almost never to be seen again. So he and his mother lived together in an apartment. She was working as a secretary, and he was going to work to demo homes when he was a teenager. And he found his way out of that environment by earning a ROTC scholarship and joining the Navy, and that was his big break in life. And he went on to have a career in the newspaper publishing business, and then later as a diplomat, as a U.S. ambassador to Spain in the early 90s. And he has influenced me in just the power of positive thinking, of just approaching every day with the belief that we are going to make it through whatever the challenge is in front of us, and we are going to inspire and lead others in developing a vision and sharing that vision and moving forward in ways that make a difference in the world.
That is awesome. Well, I know that there has been many, many great motivators throughout history and some of the mentors that I've had. And I would say that was a consistent theme is the power of positive thinking is probably the number one attribute that you can have. So that's a really great story, Chris. When you're thinking through the listeners that are here, it's a wide variety of different people hearing the podcast every week, and you think of Redefining Possible. You've obviously read Redefining Possible. You've helped create Redefining Possible, the actual book. So, a lot of people, especially here in the middle of 2020, are having to redefine possible for their life, for their career, for what they think they can actually do. What advice or what story might you have about how somebody can really redefine possible no matter what the circumstances are for them?
So, first of all, I think it is so timely and important that we're talking about these issues now, Dustin, and you've taken a great lead by putting together this book with Ron Alford, and your experiences are and the way that they are captured and organized in the book are extremely valuable for what we need to hear right now. In my own experience, I have to share that the greatest opportunities have come from the most challenging of times. That during these periods where we are going through such change, there are opportunities because everyone is rethinking how they are working at home, how they're working in their relationships, how they're working with their families, how they're working with their business life, and how their businesses are fitting into the world. As a result of that, there are conversations that we are able to have with colleagues, with clients, with customers within our own team that typically we're unable to have. We're charging ahead in the speed of the day with the ways in which we conduct business. And there's not an opportunity to stop and say, hey, are we really doing things the most efficient way that we can do them? Are we really serving our customers in all of the ways that we can? So in my experience during these periods, the first thing that I go to is asking the right questions and being a great listener. So I think being able to hear what is going on out there is absolutely critical to find those opportunities. The second piece is that with information, the next key is how do we put that into a new plan going forward, and organize and having a vision for what that plan would be. But at the bottom of all of this is you have to have ownership of what you are doing. And I think that the message that you and Ron have captured on ownership in Redefining Possible really strikes a chord with me, because whether you are fighting the challenge on the front lines of a changing world, or you're having to re-envision where you're going, what you're doing, how you're doing it in business, if as a leader you don't take ownership of a problem or of an opportunity or of a vision, no one is going to follow. Whether it's a prospect you're trying to bring on board as a customer, whether it's a customer you're trying to lead forward, or whether it's a team internally that you need to motivate and manage to a new reality. Ownership for me has been at the core of being able to manage through times like this and the opportunities that come about as a result.
I love that. Yeah, ownership is the most important part. And, it is a rare attribute where most people want to say it's that person's fault. It's not my fault. Whether it's some failure, it's their boss's fault, it's the company's fault, it's the economy's fault. And it's the rare individual who, despite the circumstances, takes full ownership and says, nope, this is something that I've got to own. And you do such a good job of that, Chris. The team at Southwestern Publishing House does such a great job of that. And I would say that's something Southwestern family of companies, if you were to look at the family of companies, that it's a team of entrepreneurial minded people who really are focused on impact and taking ownership of whatever it is that they're in charge of doing. And it's just so fun being partners with you and being friends and just working together, and appreciate you being here on the Action Catalyst podcast and everything that you're doing with the Southwestern Publishing House. And very excited for the listeners, if they wanted to check out, how could they get connected with you and the publishing house? Is there a place they could go for the marketplace to check out what all you do?
Best place is to find us at swpublishinghouse.com. That's our main website, and you can access our store there. You can see our catalog. You can learn a little bit about how we work, and reach out to any one of our team members. And I spend a lot of time speaking with people who are looking to get into the business, people who are looking to figure out how to put a book together. And I'm happy, and our team's happy to help everyone, find the way to get published, whether it's a fit for Southwestern Publishing House, or we can help steer someone to a publisher that would be appropriate for a book that they have. But of course, we have a great, talented team, and I serve the markets that we have very well. So we expect everyone to join in and be a part of our group.
That is awesome. So swpublishinghouse.com.
swpublishinghouse.com. Yes.
That's excellent. Well, thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate you being on the Action Catalyst podcast. And thank you to the listeners, and we'll talk to you next time.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. To stay updated on everything that the Action Catalyst is up to, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Action Catalyst, and Twitter at Catalyst_Action. Thanks for listening.
This episode is sponsored by Southwestern Publishing House. Southwestern Publishing House works with leading authors and brands to publish books in a wide variety of categories. Our books deliver authoritative content from leading voices and are uniquely designed to expand, enhance, and inspire engagement with core audiences. Southwestern Publishing House has more than 150 years of publishing experience serving customers worldwide. Our books range from cookbooks, children's books, and guidebooks to history, reference, educational, and business books. With more than 1,500 exceptional titles by a variety of prominent authors and institutions, Southwestern Publishing House offers unsurpassed editorial experience and customized sales and distribution capabilities. Visit swpublishinghouse.com to learn more about Southwestern Publishing House.